we have to move now into the balance of the meeting will be devoted to our Public Advocate, New York City Public Advocate Candidate Forum. David Bresler and Joe Concannon will be the moderators, and they'll ask some tough questions. They've ran for office before, so get ready, candidates. I'll introduce the candidates, but first I want to give a shout out to Bill Kraegler in the back of the room. He took a stab at it, he tried to run the Public Advocate. Danny Mayo, also sitting here, he campaigned very hard, but he was knocked off the ballot. Today was the last hearing, and unfortunately he didn't make both of them would have been marvelous candidates.
Who knocked them off the ballot, Phil?
Yeah, and also, who did it? I wonder who. Also, some of our candidates sitting here tonight, we invited all of them. We invited every single Public Advocate candidate. Got no answers from the Democrats, from Melissa Mark Vavorito or Assemblyman Kim, but we did get an answer from Assemblyman Blake that he couldn't make it. We got a response from Eric Ulrich that he has another event tonight, so he's not going to be here. Too bad. So we have here with us tonight, I'll just introduce our candidates. On the to my right, Michael Zamblaskis. Michael Zamblaskis, we met with him already right here at the Triple Crown Diner. Was very impressed with his breadth of experience, working on various campaigns and his knowledge. Just a couple of tidbits about him. Over the past 25 years, Michael has led registration and party enrollment drives throughout New York and worked as a campaign advisor for numerous independent Republican and Democratic candidates. And he was a consultant on numerous campaigns, local city council races, presidential campaign, and served as a New York County chairman of the Independence Party. He's appeared on television programs as a studio panelist on electoral reform and grassroots activism. Mike currently works as a resource management analyst for the New York City Department of Transportation. Michael Zamblaskis was also knocked off the ballot by
some people
Some people we know.
I'll say it, Eric Ulrich.
Yeah. Actually, he's contemplating a run in November, so we invited him to come on down and speak and get the experience. Also, Daniel Christman, to my right, a very, very passionate speaker. Also didn't make the ballot, but wants to run in November, so we invited him to come on down and speak. Daniel is an AM 620 radio show host. His message is humanity for all the world starts and ends in New York City. As public advocate, I will not only stand for these thieving politicians or these inhumane bureaucracies, the environment, housing, and our transportation system are under duress. The government, bankers, and corporations have exploited our poor and middle class. They are starting to ramp things up in ways we can barely even imagine. Our transportation systems are collapsing, many road closures coming. So, here we go. We have to my left, Manny Alejandro. And we've met Manny before. He ran for State Attorney General against Eric Schneiderman. He was down at our club meetings a couple of times. He is a Republican in the race for Public Advocate. But as we know, it's a nonpartisan election. Manny is a financial law expert and an attorney for Brooklyn, a 2018 Republican candidate who ran for New York State Attorney General. He is running for New York City Public Advocate to clean up City Hall. He says, as I pass by the many homeless people in the freezing cold weather, I realize that the ban on styrofoam goes into effect today. He said this in one of his tweets. This is one of the many reasons why I'm running for public advocate, to stop the madness. So another public advocate candidate who's on his way is Tony Herbert. He's coming from another event. Tony is a community leader who has a broad range of corporate, political, community, and business leadership experience. Tony is a community activist and media personality who is best known for providing a voice for those who have been disenfranchised. He currently serves as the president, CEO, and chairman of the Multicultural Restaurant and Nightclub Chamber of Commerce, as the founder and president of the Advocates Without Borders Network and executive committee member of the NAACP NYCHA branch chapter. So with that introduction, I'll turn it over to our illustrious moderators here, Dave Bresler and Joe Concannon. Yeah, why don't you do the,
Go ahead, Dave.
the time constraints.
Hey folks, good to see everyone. Everyone hear me?
Yes.
Everyone ready for an exciting debate tonight?
Yes.
We'll have to wake up Daniel because he's a shy guy, you know, from past events. So let me give you the format for tonight's public advocate forum, okay? So listen carefully, candidates. You'll have 2-minute introductions, okay? And then Joe and I will ask 2 questions each for a total of 4 questions for each candidate. Okay, we'll do 1 question, and then after each set of questions, you'll have a 1-minute rebuttal, okay? But wait for the 3rd person, and then when Mr. Herbert comes, he'll be the 4th person. And then, obviously, because this is an enthusiastic Republican crowd, we're gonna have them ask the questions as well, okay? I think their questions are gonna be tougher than ours, just got a feeling. Ira can't wait. All right, so the first question, you ready? Okay, you look excited.
Are they gonna introduce, say something?
Oh, yeah, first, let's do introductions, yeah, okay? So, I'm gonna do the first person that came, sorry, Daniel. Mike was here first, so let him go first.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Mike Zabluskis, and I want to be the public advocate. And the reason why I want to be the public advocate is I understand this city. I work for DOT. I understand that why the procurement system is failing, why we can't get things done, even though we spend $90 billion a year. Do you realize there's only 31 countries in the world that spend more than that? Yet we have a failing transportation system. We have a failing NYCHA system. Everything you look at is failing. There are some good public employees. Hopefully I consider myself one. I'm not sure about you. But joke didn't go over well, I can see that. But the thing is, the public advocate was designed to be an operational, because they do have the ability to go in and investigate the different agencies to find out why they're not working. They can go in and say, okay, why is NYCHA failing? Why is the management not getting things repaired? Even though the MTA is not part of the city, why is it that the contracts to build the 2nd Avenue subway had 22 operating engineers on their boring machine? The rest of the world has 5. So 22 to 5. And every single operating engineer earned well over $100,000 and probably $200,000 with overtime. That's just one system. Everything the MTA does is over budget and over time. And a lot of things in the city happen that way. You need somebody with understanding how to go in and fix that. You realize that our school systems are failing to teach our kids.
Big time.
Here's one of the reasons why. Think about this. In the 1960s, there was 2.34 teachers for every administrative/support staff. Today, today it's 1 to 1.
So, first of all, I would like to thank Tom and Karina from MAGA Queens. I know a lot of guys. They're awesome, awesome people. So pulling up here, I pull up and I see a nice cute little house. And when 20 years ago when I moved to the city, one of the things my older brother told me is that, well, one of the benefits of getting a house in the city is the property tax isn't really that bad. So when this Amazon deal came in, I'm willing to jump in the belly of the beast, and I go to the socialist meetings. I want to do research. I want to see what they're thinking. One of the things they told us is in Seattle, where Amazon already took over the city, one of the things that they did strategically was raise the property tax all over the city and gradually took certain blocks through property tax liens, and that's how they confiscated the land. We have Jamani Williams, who was the head of housing and buildings and is a front runner in the race, who's signing a law to make licenses for landlords. Licenses. These aren't classes, these aren't courses, these aren't educational things. This is a license where you're either going to be grandfathered in or you need time and you need to be established as a landlord in order to get it. The city is hardcore stuck on land confiscation, and it's very, very big deal. That is something that we need to fight. Another thing that we need to fight is we need unity amongst the right. We really do. What happened to this man was an absolute disgrace. And I was told by other people that if I ran, I would get thrown off the ballot. Anybody who threatens to throw anyone off the ballot is a complete disgrace.
Right.
Hey everyone, I'm Manny Alejandro and I want to be a public advocate. I'm going to start out by admitting two things. One, I am a Republican. Two, I voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So with your help, we could make New York great again, okay? I met a lot of you when I ran last year for AG. I want to continue the fight. I have a passion, I have a motivation to make things right. I'm fed up and disgusted with City Hall. This mayor is impossible to deal with. Everybody who's running is either in city government, has been in city government. For some reason now, they're claiming they will become public advocate. They will stand up to the mayor. Eric Ulrich is a rubber stamp for de Blasio. 100%. Nobody who's running will stand up to the mayor. I will. I'm an outsider. I have no interest in the government. I can take the fight as hard as I need to fight. We need to clean up the MTA. We don't bail out the MTA with congestion pricing. We need to clean up NYCHA. We need to deal with the homeless crisis. We don't build homeless shelters in residential neighborhoods and do all these secret plans behind people's backs and then expect the community to get counsel when no government officials help them with any resources. So I'm running to fight for you. I'm running to take back New York. Let's make New York City great again. Let's get someone who wants to work with Washington and who outwardly embraces Trump. Why are we running away from Trump? Why does the Republican Party in this state run away from Trump? Please help me become public advocate. Thank you.
I see we have high energy candidates tonight. That's a good sign. All right, so the first question, you were mentioning it, Daniel, about Amazon. Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo are touting this project, and we have a few questions and want your thoughts on this upcoming deal that was made. So is the local community getting sufficient equity out of the Amazon deal? Are jobs coming to the people in the area? That's the first part of the question. And the second part, is there a percentage of jobs set aside for people who reside in that area? So, Manny, you want to take it first? You need me to repeat it?
Sure, take it.
Okay.
So, straight up, I'm against the Amazon deal.
Good.
Okay? I've been a conservative Republican my whole life. I'm clearly supportive of jobs, but at what cost? Why do we need to provide corporate welfare to the richest man in the world? If we can find $3 billion for jobs, we should be able to find other money to fix the subways, to deal with NYCHA housing. right? I mean, we really shouldn't have this homeless crisis. We shouldn't jack up everybody's taxes. So my question to you is, how do you think we're all gonna pay for this? Who's gonna pay for it? We're looking at each other, we're paying for it. We're paying for these jobs. My concern is that these jobs are not gonna go to New Yorkers. Some of these jobs are skilled jobs. Maybe we don't have the special skills needed to fill these jobs. How do we know who's gonna fill these jobs? Amazon's probably gonna relocate people to Long Island City. What I'm struggling with as well is, what is the city going to do to invest in Long Island City? This city does an awful job at urban planning, right? With all the neighborhoods that are gentrified, there's no additional transportation, there's no additional schools, there's nothing. So what is this city committed to do in an expeditious way to make this happen smoothly? Nothing. It's gonna be a disaster. We're bailing out the richest man in the world, who doesn't need us to bail him out. And look, why can't we just create those jobs natively? We should have job opportunities in New York City where we should become a technology center. We're clearly a financial center. I'm totally against Amazon. I don't think the jobs are gonna go to New Yorkers. I think it's corporate welfare, and I think we need to fight back. And unfortunately, our governor and our mayor have sold us out. Again, a backroom deal with a lack of transparency. So I'm against it. As public advocate, I would fight it as hard as I can. Thank you.
They're bringing in 36,000 people from overseas for those jobs. That's what they're working.
The Q&A will be later. Hang on 1 second. Tony, you get what, 2 minutes?
2 minute introduction, Tony. They already did.
All right, they already did their
We'll get
intro.
back to you, Daniel.
Come on back. Daniel, you'll be next.
Yeah, we still have it without you.
Welcome, by the way.
Thank you. So sorry, I just left the CUNY meeting, so I thought it very important to have an opportunity to talk about our young people, because we always talk about getting them involved, and then here it is, we're now giving them an opportunity. So they held a forum at Brooklyn College, and I definitely wanted to make that, but I had to make the choice, so I stopped and get some gas, so I just get here so I can be here on time. And I opted for the purpose of getting here, hopefully out of respect to your time, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm a simple person, born and raised in Brooklyn, have afforded the opportunity that I've raised two young boys who live here in Queens, for the most part, who are going on to college. I'm thankful for having that opportunity, providing them that. Plus, they did it for themselves, quite frankly, because they sought out the scholarships and put themselves in a position to make me proud. I'm not afforded that opportunity. I come from humble beginnings. My mom was a school aide working in the public school system for about 30 years before she succumbed to cancer, but yet had always instilled in me that we needed to reach out and do your due diligence to be of service, and that's what I've done. So fortunately, I am a representative of that. My mom, definitely is my shiro. However, I've gone on to work for a congressman in towns, worked in the city council, worked in the state senate, worked on Wall Street for an investment bank doing their government relations, as well as a minority-owned business that owned a advertising firm on Madison Avenue, who I helped to get a Department of Defense contract. So, but now my whole position is, why am I running for public advocate? Because I've been doing the work. I've been doing it for the last 10 years. And I apologize, I might have infiltrated some of your rooms, your bedrooms and your living rooms, because I've been on TV fighting the good fight, because I use TV to make these politicians do their job. And with that being said, I understand the dynamics of what has to go in, cut out the politics, get away from the corruption, and we can get a city that we can respect, that our residents can respect, and give them an opportunity to do their due diligence, to be positive and productive citizens. Thank you.
Daniel, before you get going, Tony, we're going to repeat the question because you weren't here, so you got a little time to think about it. We were talking about Amazon, the deal with Amazon that Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo are boasting about. Is the local community getting sufficient equity out of the Amazon deal? Two parts to this question. Are jobs coming to the people in that area? That's one. And is there a percentage of jobs set aside for people who reside in that area? So you think about it. We're going to go to Daniel now.
So as far as the local community goes, I cannot believe that not people, especially these candidates, especially one that work for the Department of Transportation, don't know about this. As far as equity in the local community and the Amazon deal goes, there's a $13.5 billion train tunnel being built right into Grand Central, coming right around to Sunnyside Yards, going right to the Amazon plant. And everyone's up in arms about a $3 billion corporate welfare tax break that's a sham, and the protesters are gonna get that negated anyway. Don't get distracted by that. Cuomo just came out and said, the state's basically bankrupt, guys. We're basically eating our own feet right now, and we don't know what to do. De Blasio just came out and said, hey, healthcare for all now. Who's paying for it? Amazon is. Vanguard, BlackRock, Fidelity, Price T. Rowe, State Street. He's one of these Wall Street guys. He should know this. They're the ones that are funding the Amazon deal. The New York State and city government is socialist. It ran itself into a trap. And now they need to resort to big banks and corporations to bail them out of this. And they're doing it with the Amazon deal. Don't be turned off by just a $3 billion tax break. It goes a lot deeper down the rabbit hole than that. They're going to be paying for education, they're going to be paying for transportation, and they're going to be paying for our roads. And it's a very, very dangerous thing that we're playing. Now, one thing that AOC said was that through activism, we can actually fight it. Everyone in this room loves to hate on AOC, but they don't even know who their congresswoman or congressman is in their own damn neighborhood. We have to fight them all, because they're all bad.
Yeah, I'm one of the few people that actually support the Amazon deal. Do I support the tax breaks? No. New York City is losing 100 middle-class families a day. We need to have more people earning higher incomes coming in. This is back office jobs. Now, would I go and get clawbacks from Bezos? Absolutely. Just like Microsoft, and this is before I actually have this in my plan, even before Microsoft announced that they're putting $500 million into building apartments for homeless in Seattle. I want Bezos to do the same thing here. I want him to build a light rail system in the Long Island City area, connecting all the subways, the ferry station, the LIR, to his place and into the apartments there. I think we also need to look at how much extra facilities are we going to need. We need to look at the water system. We need to look at the fire police and how they can get to these places. And then we should go to Bezos and say, hey, we need you to kick in and help us, because the city's not doing it right now, and we need the tax revenues. Because right now we're borrowing way too much money, and sooner or later those interest rates are going to spike, and this city's going to be in huge amounts of trouble. Already we're looking at, I work for DOT, already we're looking to cut back. They're planning on some of this stuff. They know it's coming. And this is the first time since de Blasio's been in office that we're actually looking at our budgets. We're looking at the overtime. It's the first time since he's been in office.
15 seconds.
But we need the tax revenue. That's why I support Amazon, but we need to get kickbacks from them to actually help the infrastructure in the city.
Well,
Tony, 2 minutes.
so here's where I become a little bit conservative with regards to my thought process. I support business. I support small business development. So if Amazon is coming in, then we really need to see what the details, as they say, the devil's in the details. We need to see what that's all about, first and foremost. However, if it's coming in and the infrastructure is going to destroy our communities, we can't have that. So I think they need to revisit this whole deal and make sure that the folks in the community are at the table. It sounds to me a whole bunch of politicians cut the deal. And it seems as though that's what they're pushing with. And when it's all said and done, it's going to be one of those things that we look at like the Barclays Center. They said the community's going to be involved, we've got a community benefit agreement, and then when it was all said and done, community had no room at the table. It all became a deal that was structured and sold down the line as different buyers came in from both China and Russia. So what do we do at this point? We as the community, the stakeholders, just need to be at that table. And if in fact that Amazon is coming here, then it has to be beneficial to the community first, not to the corporate guys that are coming here looking for the corporate welfare.
Anyone have a rebuttal to each other's answers on that? No? All right, so you mentioned the infrastructure. Is the burden on the backs of the taxpayers for upgrading the infrastructure for the Amazon project? Right?
I think it needs to be a combination of both, because a lot of Long Island City has been booming over the last couple of years. So we need to get money from Amazon, and we need to find the money to actually fix the infrastructure. However, because I want to look at these union contracts, I'm a union member, so we don't have 22 engineers running the boring machines. Right now, we are misspending so much money, and nobody's watching it. That's one of the things the public advocate can do, to make sure before these contracts are actually signed, actually look at all the details. And that's something I will do, and I think all these people up here will do. Don't even think about voting for any single elected official on the 26th. Especially not Eric, because they have no clue of what's going on. They've been going out and basically ripping this city off. Just think about this. Eric has never had a job in his life except city council. What does he know about life? How can he be a good public advocate when he doesn't know the struggles? When he doesn't know what life is about? He doesn't know how to hold a job that he actually has to go to a boss for. Think about it. He's his own boss since 2 years out of college. That's why, and most of these elected officials running for public advocate are the same way. They've come out of the nonprofit sector, or they've come out of working for some other politician. They've never lived in reality. You cannot vote for them. These guys have, at least. They're going to be on the ballot.
15 seconds.
So, unless you want to write myself in, which I'm not, it's up to you, vote for one of these two guys. Thank you.
Oh, yes. So is the burden on the backs of the taxpayers for upgrading the infrastructure for this Amazon project?
You best believe it's going to be on our backs.
And what do we do about it?
The one thing that we can do, and this is going to be the theme of this has been the theme of my whole campaign, inclusion. Public being included. You can't be a public servant if you don't engage the public. And that's the biggest issue going forward. And when you look at it too, I mean, when we have this amount of money coming in, who's saying anything to our middle class and saying, hey, what are we offering you? Who's saying anything to our owners that own properties that are getting hit over the head with these property taxes? I'm proud to say I stood with Nicole Maliotakis when she ran, and that was one of the things that actually drew me to her. The idea of dealing with, making sure that our homeowners were treated with respect, and that there was something there for them to be able to benefit from. So when you look at what's happening in or around that Amazon deal, there are homes over there. So what are they getting? So we have to make sure that the people are in the details. People are at the table. And as public advocate, I would push to make that consensus that this is what's got to take place. We just don't buy into this stupidity. At the end of the day, we have to benefit from it, and that's what I would do as public advocate.
So there's no doubt that the taxpayers are gonna have to pay for all this. No doubt in my mind, right? The thing that wasn't done, that should be done, that the city never does, is a cost-benefit analysis, right? The benefit are jobs, but what's the cost? And who's paying those costs? This is a shell game by de Blasio and Cuomo, right? This really is nothing more than that, and we're all gonna get screwed over, okay? It's obvious. What are we gonna do about it? Well, it's difficult. If we don't have any politicians that stand up for us and that'll fight for us, and all the people that were mentioned before don't and won't, there's nothing we could do. We're gonna get screwed over big time. So that's why you need to elect someone like me who could stand up to the mayor and stand up to the governor if need be. All these backroom deals are done and will continue to be done. What'll happen is there'll be somebody coming on stage doing some kind of presentation and explaining that Amazon is gonna pay XYZ. But you know what'll happen? There'll be a cost overrun. There's always cost overruns, right? Because the price is just a projection, a budget is a projection. We don't really know in the future how much it's gonna cost us, so it's gonna be on our backs. What can we do about it? Elect me, put someone in place who could be the backstop and not the rubber stamp for de Blasio. Because de Blasio will continue to sell us out every day left in his term. His goal is to ruin the city, and he's well on his way. He's well on his way. In 2013, I spoke to Mayor Giuliani, and I said, how bad could things get if this guy wins? He said, Manny, I don't really know. Things got a lot better under my administration of Bloomberg. We have a long runway, but I think right now we're starting to see those pains come through. We're starting to see potholes in the street that won't be filled. The homeless population is crazy. We don't even know how many homeless people we have. It's a disgrace. This mayor's a disgrace, and the Amazon project is a complete disgrace. It's corporate welfare. Totally against it.
I'm glad we all agree the mayor is a disgrace. He's an absolute disgrace, he really is. He said that 1 in 5 are mentally ill. Espinal says that 20% homeless for mandatory inclusionary housing. That's when they say MIH, and you don't even know what it is. It's mandatory inclusionary housing. As far as Amazon and the roads, we have a decision to make as a country. Right now, it's hard for me to say, yeah, it should be on the taxpayer's back. But right now, as the country's designed, it should be. And are we going to do it in a way where we're going to give favors to Amazon, or are we going to take that extreme libertarian approach and let them build their own roads? I don't think so. It's going to be on our backs until we change it, and until then, we need to inspect thoroughly. A lot of people are talking a lot of stuff about Amazon. How many of you have been down to the Department of Buildings using FOIL, Freedom of Information, to try to get whatever kind of plans you could get for the Amazon facility? I might be wearing Red Wings right now because I actually work as a plumber, but I also worked on estimating tables myself. So I am getting the mechanicals for the Amazon factory, and I'm going to find out exactly what's going into it, and we only have till April. So we need to get together, we need to fight this Amazon deal, because even if you agree that it might be a good idea, unless we slow it down, get a moratorium on it, and see what their business plans really are, we are setting ourselves up for a huge disaster. And that huge disaster, that Trojan horse, is these banks that are being run by the EU coming in and effectively taking over our city, and we need to wise up and we need to fight it.
Yeah, so, you know, I want you to think of the Amazon deal as like a stadium deal. You know these sweetheart stadium deals, where these billionaires get to build a stadium in the city, and they make all these false promises about how much money the local community is gonna make, and all the promises about jobs, and how much they're gonna pay and put into the stadium. And guess who pays for that stadium? The taxpayers. And guess what happens to the owners of the stadium and owners of the football team? They become multi-billionaires. Right? So this is exactly like a stadium play. And it's a facade, it's a shell game. I want jobs, no, absolutely want jobs. I'm 100% supportive of jobs, but at what cost? We need transparency. We need to fight back. We need to use the courts. I'm an attorney. I would use every means necessary. Article 78 proceedings, challenge city agencies, whatever needs to be done to fight back, I would fight back.
Amen.
Thank you.
Can I get a So real quick, it's nice to say a stadium deal. They just bought PillPack, a pharmaceutical thing where they're sending medications to your house. They just brought Ring, which is a security surveillance agency thing that's right at your house, and they're surveilling everything. Alexa is going to be 311 in your apartment, and they're going to be monitoring your heart rate. This is Amazon. This isn't the Miami Dolphins, where the local high school team is going to play football there. They are going to control every single little market in the whole entire city. And we need to really wake up. As much as I hate de Blasio, the Amazon deal is worse than him, and we need to get pitchforks if we have to, and we need to stop the deal. I'm not even kidding.
Sorry, Daniel, that's gonna happen whether they put Amazon here or not, because people have no clue, especially the younger people, about their own privacy acts, because they've been brought up on these cell phones, and, oh, I want the world to know exactly where I am. I'm sorry, I didn't grow up that way. I hate the fact, and I despise Apple for putting everything on the cloud, and every other cell phone did the same thing. I hate that. But the thing also, Daniel, the other thing is, it's not just roads you want Amazon building, because you don't want them building roads. You need alternative. You want more ferry use, more, railroads coming in, because the feeder roads coming into that area are already overcrowded. So just building roads in that locality doesn't help the city at all, or Long Island City. You need to use more ferry service, more trains coming in, and that's why I'm saying build the light rail from all the different subway stations.
Tony?
So if you heard the governor this week, he mentioned congestion pricing is in, or the transit fares are up 30%, correct?
Yeah.
All right, what did you hear here tonight? Everything, you're gonna pay for it. All right, so we're gonna switch up a little bit, all right? And we're gonna go down the criminal justice path. A very, very easy question. This is a softball. All right, what is the purpose of the criminal justice system? Punishment or rehabilitation? I'll start on my right.
The purpose of the criminal justice system, as it stands right now, is a for-profit center. They have cops running around more interested in whether your license is suspended or if you're on your cell phone, just like they're allowed to be on their cell phone, instead of checking if there's heroin in your car or not. It's getting ridiculous. New York State has $70,000 a year per prisoner, and Rikers Island at one point was up to $200,000 a year per prisoner. Constantly giving us criminal records, giving us charges, taking a kid for smoking weed, not letting them go in the military, or giving them a restriction the whole time on it, is not helping anyone. The whole reason why these entities exist is for a for-profit center. That's why it's there. That's why they do it. That's why they keep these neighborhoods down. That's why they keep our ghettos under income restrictions, to give the people living them no choice but to break the law and be criminals so they can lock them up and put them in jail and make more money. It's never been about rehabilitation. It's been about punishment, and it's been about evolving what slavery is, basically. That's what it is. So going forward, the only things that I think should really be illegal are robbery, thievery, rape, murder, and heroin. Besides that, let everything else go.
I'm a son of a military cop. I grew up in the military. For 22 years, I traveled all over this country. The process, criminal justice is for protection. Rehabilitation is secondary. We need to protect our society from those that are abusing it. Those are trying to take advantage of the people that are trying to live their normal lives. You have bad people in this world, and there will always be bad people in this world. There's a small percent of altruistic people, but there's a lot larger percent of people that like harming people. I mean, there are people that love beating up people, love going around and it doesn't matter if they come from a good family or not. I've seen it where you have, a family of 4, 3 upstanding kids, and then you have that one that's just a knucklehead that will go out and, do whatever he or she feels because they think they're entitled. They will be a bully. They will try to run over people. The criminal justice system is supposed to try to put a damper on that there is consequences for your actions. We need to hold people responsible for their actions, and that's why we need a criminal justice system. I have a whole reform package for criminal justice system. One of the things I want to do is for low-level crimes, work probation. So you actually have people on probation that will be cleaning up the NYC houses, going into the parks, cleaning up there. Whatever the society needs to do. They'll live at home, have monitors. It's one way of them giving back to the society and forcing them to see what the consequences of their actions are.
I want to co-sign some of what Mike said, but I want to go a little further too. As one who, for the most part, for the last 5 years, have been putting a lot of pressure on this mayor, I actually walked, or should I say carried, several coffins to City Hall to send a message. We've got a problem. People are dying out here. Guns are going off. What are you going to do? It forced his hand, quite frankly, to create an opportunity for us to get our police department to do more community policing. Now, the issue isn't the police. The issue is these liberal, die-hard, to far left politicians who just want to see money come in this city so that he can position himself on a national agenda. And I'm talking about de Blasio. And I don't support his efforts whatsoever. I think, quite frankly, we're being used and ostracized because, quite frankly, them wanting to say, okay, we'll arrest you and then let you out on this bail reform, and then you're back out on the street committing more crimes without a real evaluation of who should be out and who shouldn't. That's a problem. So we've got people out here now that are harming our women in our community. We've got people, our seniors can't even go cash their checks or go to the bank without somebody sitting upon them. This mayor doesn't care because the bottom line is he wants to show the impression that New York is safe so they can keep bringing in the tourism dollars and he can dole that out to his developer friends.
Amen.
So as an attorney, I've studied this in detail. So really the criminal justice system is predicated on both punishment and rehabilitation. The problem is that there's a lot of recidivism. So the rehabilitation methods that are utilized don't work. The problem is at times the punishment's too severe. So it's always a matter of tweaking that dial and figuring out what's the right punishment for the crime. Sometimes people consider decriminalizing things. Not sure that's a great way of going about it because it just fosters people to commit otherwise illegal acts. Or people commit a crime today that is not illegal or the criminality today, but it was, let's say, 10 years ago. So how fair is that that people have a criminal record that today the same thing is not a criminal violation? So to me, it's really important to do a top-down perspective and figure out what's going on in the city. Why are there so many people in our prisons? Why do people resort to crime? I think people miss the forest for the trees. This is a socio-economic problem, right? If we have jobs that pay well, that people could be trained to work at, maybe it would be a deterrent for them or something for them to strive towards instead of committing a crime. There are a lot of people who resort to crime, in particular selling drugs, because it's the easy way out. So my concern is that if we keep decriminalizing drug laws, it's going to make it worse and worse and worse. So I think we do need criminal justice reform. But I think we have to be very careful. If we get to the point where we decriminalize everything, we're going to be in a totally reckless society. And we're close to that right now. Most importantly, we're going to really hurt our police. Police won't be able to have a real job. They won't be able to carry out their job because it won't be backed up. So I think we need to have a top-down approach. We should always strive for rehabilitation, but predicated on punishment because punishment is the true deterrent. If the punishment's too light, people will keep recommitting those crimes.
Yeah, real quick. For socioeconomic, what we've had is, we've had a social welfare system that has kept you can't make this much money. You'll lose your insurance, you'll lose your house, you'll lose your food stamps, you'll lose everything, you'll be out of the streets. People are selling cigarettes because it's the only way to make money. We need to address, and that's one of the best ways with the walk away movement and reaching our minority populations and reaching the Democrats, is the way that our social welfare system is set up creates criminals because it's the only way they can make money. And that definitely needs to be addressed or we're never going to move forward.
I'm going to disagree with some of that because that's not the only way that we can make money. There are some of us that are business owners. There are some of us that invest the time to go out there and work with our young people and open up not-for-profits and organizations. But the problem is, again, it is criminal reform, nature that we need to put in place. But the problem that we're dealing with most often, not only socioeconomic, but again, you have individuals who are in office who are now looking for that next seat. And they're using our communities, they're using the residents here as pawns. They're using us so that they can put themselves in a position to get to that next job, but they don't care about your safety. They don't care about who they're letting back out on these streets. They want to give the impression that they're doing the right thing by folks, and they're trying to appeal to a base that will vote them back in. That's the overall arching issue.
I just want to mention criminal justice reform we have a government in place that is putting pressure on police to not enforce the law. We have MS-13 gang members getting booked in private. The media is being lied to about when this individual from MS-13 is going to do the perp walk. We have people running for city council and members of Congress claiming that we should abolish ICE. So isn't it very narrow-minded for these politicians to talk about criminal justice reform when politicians are actually telling the police, don't enforce the law? It's disgusting. This whole MS-13 thing is disgusting. It makes me sick. I can't believe we stand for it. I can't believe we tolerate it. And it's so horrible that this mayor is putting pressure on the police to not crack down on these people. And we essentially have a sanctuary city in New York City right now.
All right, we had a ton more questions. Dave and I actually worked at this. All right, but we're not going to be able to get through it because the night is going quick. All right, so I guess what we're going to do is we're going to go to general questions from the group. All right, easy now. Easy. All right. There's a reason they put me up here on the microphone. All right, I'm going to work to my right, to my left. All right, so just keep your hands up so I can see. All right, Lawrence.
Hi.
Stand up so people can hear you.
Hi. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm Lawrence Winbury from Brooklyn Tea Party, and I'd just like to ask you, do you agree that the city's status as a sanctuary city is harmful to the city and harmful to its citizens, and would you work to rescind that status?
Okay, yes or no?
You can't just say yes or no.
You got it, we don't have time.
Sanctuary cities are killing us.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
good.
That's good.
Yes, I will work to rescind it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, good.
All right. Was there another gentleman over here who had a question? No? Okay, no one in that row, no one in this row. Rabbi?
All right, well, we, at a previous event like this, we had Curtis Lewa here who's not running for the position you're running for. He said he wants to abolish the position, he thinks it's a useless position. I don't agree with him on everything, but
Question?
what actual powers do you have to do anything against the way the system is stacked right now? This appears to be a position set up so people can now use this as a springboard to run for mayor. And so what actual power does the position have?
All right, this is a difficult question because we don't have a lot of time. All right, so Delvis, give me 30 seconds.
Okay, so I think as far as public advocate goes, the most important, impactful thing we do is we select city planners. As the socialists are coming in, we need to select city planners that are gonna meet the needs of the environment and do it in a free market way, so they shut up and we don't have to worry about socialism taking over. That's the most important thing, and you need an animal in there who's not gonna be scared. That's all I can tell you right now.
Next up. Go.
The public advocate is needed. If you actually read the charter, he does have power.
Yeah.
Also, another big reason why you need the public advocate's position is the mayor picks the head of DOI. And if you don't have an independent person watching over what the mayor's doing and how he's doing things, then you're in trouble. That's why I'm saying, don't elect any elected officials. If you're going to vote for anybody, vote for these two on February 26th. Me in November, but that's a different the other thing is, he sits on the pension board. Okay.
Sorry, guys, we gotta keep it tight.
No problem.
Gotta remove the questions. You know, the office is definitely needed, truth be told, because at the end of the day, this is the only opportunity that the public can really have their voices heard. So if you have an advocate that's about the people, then that person should be able to bring forward the voice of the people. And I never said I want to be the voice. I said I want to be the amplification of the voices in our city, and that's what I propose to do, to make sure you have a seat at the table.
Amen.
The public advocate is the ombudsperson for the city, the chief whistleblower. That's really the role. The public advocate has investigatory powers. I think the problem is you're looking at the really weak performance of past public advocates who really didn't carry out their role. There's additional things that can be done. As I mentioned earlier, Article 78 proceedings. There is no subpoena power admitted, but I think the public advocate is very necessary, and you need an effective leader to actually carry that role out.
Okay, thank you. I'm starting, going here, going to the left. Charlie, go ahead.
What's your position on Mayor de Blasio's insane plan to get rid of the SHSAT and destroy our specialized high schools?
Okay, 30 seconds, guys.
Well, all I can tell you is that the way they're eroding at our private education in this city is absolutely disgusting, and that's one of the biggest fights that I will take on. I was actually very surprised I didn't get the Satmar endorsement because of what they're doing with the yeshiva schools is out of control. There's nobody who's gonna fight for private education more than me, and as far as education goes, I think Coody needs D1 sports and bring $200 million a year to the city.
Okay, reset.
That's an easy one. It's a moronic idea. A moronic idea. We need to increase our education for high-skilled people. We can't dilute our schools by bringing other people in. I was actually a product of busing in the 70s. I was actually bused into heavily Hispanic and heavily black schools from the base. And it didn't work then. It's not going to work now. These sorry.
It's part of the hat trick here. Go ahead, Tony.
I don't support what the mayor is doing with regards to the standardized testing. I can't support the idea that you're ostracizing one community over another. Can't support it, and I won't support it.
I think it's ludicrous to water down a test for gifted and talented kids. And I think it's discriminatory to the Asian American community, okay? I'm a product of one of those schools. I went to Regis High School, Jesuit, Upper East Side. I got a scholarship there. I was a rough kid, rough around the edges from Brooklyn, changed my life. I will absolutely do everything I need to do to fight as hard as I can to make sure that other kids in the city get a chance. You don't dilute and water down the testing standards. Ludicrous.
Okay, no one over here. Mr. Harris?
Yeah, there's an article in this newspaper, some grassroots organizations, they petitioned outside D.A. Brown's office a couple weeks ago. They want to
Question, please.
stop drug possession and intent to distribute, get rid of shoplifting crimes, driver's license suspended, not go after those people. And what's your thoughts? What can you do?
Well, first, driver's license suspended. We need to have an amnesty. When they came out with that Vision Zero, too many of my fellow tradesmen's livelihoods got wiped out because they got too many points on their licenses and they're not getting accidents. We need to ease up on that. These people are going to work in the supermarket and taking their kids to practice. It's ridiculous. Other than that, they are trying to not arrest people for drug violations. They were selling meth on my street. They wouldn't do it because they want to keep the crime rates low. It's crazy.
It's easy. Giuliani did it. Broken windows.
Yeah,
you cannot let crime go unpunished, unchecked. Because when it does, it just escalates more and more.
Right, but how do you push back on these activists?
You actually go up and you confront them. You tell them the facts. Too many people, especially a lot of our Republican leaders, especially from this district, won't stand up for them until we cleaned up this city using broken windows.
Okay, that's time. Tony, go ahead. The art of brevity.
I'm gonna keep it real simple. Mike hit it right on the head.
What we need to do is we need to publicize it, right? These are other backroom deals. So there's two ways that they're trying to do this. One is try to change the law and decriminalize things. And if they don't do that otherwise, they just don't enforce the law. So they tell cops not to do their job. We need to publicize this. We need to get together and make sure that everybody knows about this and put pressure on the police and the courts to enforce the laws. Because otherwise, we're going to be back to the 1970s. We're not too far from that right now.
By the way, if they don't enforce the laws, you won't know because they won't report them. All right? So,
Can't hide the bodies.
double-edged sword.
Catherine had a good idea. For those that we didn't get to, Joe and I had quite a few questions. For those in the audience that we didn't have a chance to answer, that they didn't have a chance to answer your questions, either write it down or email me, dlbressler@gmail.com. I will send it to these gentlemen, these participants, the people that didn't come as well, and we will get answers to you. But make sure you write down your email, so this way I can include you in the response, okay? So this way we get all the questions answered for these gentlemen, because we are running out of time. We want to thank you gentlemen for your participation.
Let me really come out.
Stand up.
No more questions, sorry.
Stand up.
And we want to thank you for your participation as well. As usual, the Queens Village Republican Club is the best audience in the Northeast.